Welcome to X100 Photography. I just picked up the Fuji X100V. I rented it for one day. It's now 11:30 in the morning and I have to give it back at 6 o'clock. So we have around 6 hours to play with it. The idea is to walk around Hamburg and to take some pictures with it. And I try to get a variety of looks with it. So I am going now into a new area in the harbor where the port is, and there's a really nice building. So we're going to photograph some architecture and I try to film the experience shooting with it. So you are with me the whole time. I just picked up the camera. I now go through the menu. I go through every single point in the menu. It takes about 10 to 20 minutes. I will take a look what every single point does and then change the camera to my feelings, how I think it works best. And then we go into the harbor, take some architecture shots. I also like to photograph people, so we are also going to photograph people on the streets with it. I think there will be some nice images coming out of this. I mostly shoot at f2.0 if I can, if it's not too bright. And we're also going to photograph some cars because it's Hamburg and it's Friday and there are always some nice cars in the city, and the cars that you find here are very, very photogenic. I'm filming now with the EOS RP and I use it also to take some shots of me with this camera, so you see how this camera looks when you have it in your hand. So let's start the journey Fuji X100V for one day. So we now arrived to the new area here in Hamburg, the harbor. In the background you see a building, this is the Elbphilharmonie. It's a really famous building now. There was a lot of controversy. It was about to cost 80 million and in the end it cost 800 million. And you can listen to great music there. So it's a really nice area here. Let me just show you how it looks like. And all of this is kind of pretty new. Hamburg has put out this area within the last maybe 10 years, and there are new areas coming kind of every year, and it's a really beautiful playground for photography. So I have here the X100V and we will test it for one day. I have 6 hours with it, so let's see what we can get. I want to photograph buildings and architecture and we will do it right here. I also want to photograph cars and we will also do it right here. There are so many Porsches driving around everywhere here, and it's really nice just to capture the lifestyle of Hamburg, which is these buildings here. It's also the cars and it's also the people and the fashion. So after I photograph these buildings and architecture, I am going to talk to people on the streets and I'm going to photograph them. But before that, I will talk a little bit about this camera and what we can do with it. So when we have the X100V, is pretty similar to the XPro 3. There are 3 ways to use this camera. We can look through or look on the screen like I'm doing now here. So I see on the screen actually what I'm capturing. I see the image before I take it. And this is pretty common. This is like your smartphone. You see what you get before you take the shot. We can also look through the viewfinder here, and what we will then see is 2 things. We either look through the small window where we actually see real life, like with the DSLR. We look through reality, not like a DSLR, because we don't look through the lens, but we look beside the lens through a window and see reality. Or we can push a small button here. Let me just get back to light. Bum, 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 bum. Let me just brighten this up a little bit. Just sit like this. So we can also push on this little button here in the front. What then happens is it will put out a monitor. So when I look through here, I now look onto a monitor and I see exactly all the settings and if the image is too bright or too dark. You see there's a lot of contrast. You see where I stand now is pretty dark. So like this. Everything here is pretty dark. Everything here is pretty bright. And I have to decide, do I want to photograph in the shade? Then I have to do it like this so you can see it. Or do I want to photograph in the sun? Then I have to do the settings like this so you can see it. And so when I'm now using the Fuji X100V and I have the monitor here, I see exactly the final image, just like a smartphone, just like any other mirrorless camera with the EVF. And you see all the settings and you can adjust it accordingly to your wishes. I'm shooting now, let me just see the picture style so I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm shooting now in classic chrome, which is a really nice picture style. And I'm just going to photograph these buildings here, and then we're going to photograph some of the people that walk around here. And we'll see if we can take some pictures of them. Ja, schön. Ja, ihr wirkt sehr, sehr verliebt. Und ich filme hiermit so ein bisschen, um so ein bisschen zu zeigen, wie ich fotografiere. Und ich mache hiermit, lass mich hier schauen. Ich mache hiermit die Fotos. Und die Kamera macht keine Geräusche, das heißt, man hört gar nicht, dass ich fotografiere. Und ja, sie ist so. Ja, schön. Sehr schön so. Und schaut noch einmal beide einfach so ein bisschen in die Richtung, so in die Ferne. Ja, schön. Mal schauen. Und schaut noch mal zueinander. Und gebt euch noch mal einen Kuss. Sehr schön so. Und nimm sie ruhig noch einmal mit deiner rechten Hand einfach so hier zu dir.
So, du bist ein bisschen...
so wie immer, ja?
Ja, schön so. Sehr schön. Ja, schön. Und wir können auch eins im Stehen machen. Ich denke auch einfach. Ja, sonst so ist doch auch. Ja, schön so. Ja, schön so. Und gib ihr auch noch mal einen Kuss auf die Wange. Ja, sehr schön. Schön. Und schaut noch einmal beide zu mir. Ja, sehr schön. Und vielleicht einmal hier, dass wir so ein bisschen den Background haben. Wir können mal schauen. Sonst legt die Tasche einfach eben hier ab. Und vielleicht, wenn ihr euch einfach hier hinstellt und einfach so euch gegenüberstellt, so Brust an Brust. Mal eben das hier. Ja, schon so. Mal einmal von hier. Ja, sehr schön. Ja, sieht sehr schön aus. Schön am Knuddeln. Sehr schön. So we will now walk a little bit just here around town. And when you take a look at compact cameras and you're looking for something very small but with a great image quality, there are actually 3 different camera models that impressed the photography industry in the last years. One of them was definitely the X100 series that pushed Fujifilm into the professional photography segment, and that turned many photographers from Canon and Nikon and other manufacturers to the new Fuji system. Now Fuji is a big player in the photography industry, but for around 10 years ago, when the X100, the first one, came out, Fuji was just a side player. Now it's changed a lot, and the Fuji X100 was kind of one of the first cameras that came out that put Fuji into the situation where they are now, where they are really competitive and really created their own segment with APS-C cameras and medium format cameras with the GFX line. So the X100 series was introduced with the X100, then the X100S, and then the X100T, then the X100F, and all these cameras, the 100, the S and the T, all had the same lens, the 23mm f2.0. And now with the V, the lens was updated, so the corners are sharper, the sharpness in general is much better. Now I have to tell you, I'm not a big technical guy, which means image sharpness is not important to me, lens sharpness is not important to me. I'm about the emotional quality, about the image, and so the lens sharpness is not a reason for me to buy a camera. Now I know there are other people that pretty value sharpness and are perfectionists and really care about having a great, perfect image. I'm not one of those, and so besides the Fuji X100 series, there are two other compact cameras that can give you incredible image quality and that are really famous in the photography industry, and that is the Ricoh GR, that is really famous for street photography, and the other one is the Leica Q. The Leica Q came out with a price tag of around 4,000 euros, which is for most people too much for a walk-around camera, and so the Leica is not really accessible to many people who just take pictures for fun as a hobby. And so the X100 and the Ricoh GR always were the ones to pick for street photography. They are small, this one is super silent. You can take pictures without anybody really noticing it. And so in this video today I want to give you a real-time experience of me using this for the first day. We got beautiful weather here in Hamburg. I just came back a couple of days ago from Spain. Tomorrow is a big wedding. Then I go back to Spain, and I thought this Friday would be great just to spend a day with what I love, but not to make money with it, but just to enjoy it, touch a new camera, experience it, have fun with it, and give you my experience with this video. And I hope you can get something out of this. I just talked to a couple, photographed it, and I think the images turned out really nice. And what I now want to do is I'm going to talk to some more people here on the streets and then photograph them. There are two girls, maybe I talk to them. So let's see. So we're still in Hamburg in the new part with all the beautiful new buildings, and it's a beautiful weather. And it's a perfect day to test out the Fuji camera. So I did photograph actually the one of the two girls. I didn't film it, but I show you the images here. And the Fuji performed really well. What I saw was that the buffer was full pretty quick. So I always like to take many images, especially when I have no idea about the camera that I'm using. And so the buffer, which means so when I put in the camera the SD card, and the SD card has a certain speed. I have very fast SD cards. Now the camera cannot handle these fast SD cards. The camera only has UHS-1 speed, not UHS-2. So it's not the fastest buffer. So when I take pictures with the Fuji camera, and I take many pictures, then the camera needs some time to record these pictures to the SD card. And there comes a moment when I cannot take many images in a quick moment. So I can take many images, click, 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 and then it stops, and I can only take a couple of images. Click, click, click. Now the beautiful thing about this, the mechanical shutter is pretty quiet, so nobody hears it. You can take pictures on the streets without people noticing. That is not what I like to do. I like the people actually that they know that they are photographed, they all get the images, especially with a couple. It's always nice to photograph a couple and they can enjoy the images and not just me. So let's see, I'm going to photograph some more people over there on the street. And then we go into the city center, photograph some nice cars. Let's get some really crazy cars, some AMGs, some Ferrari maybe, maybe a Bentley or so. So let's see. Ich filme das mit dieser Kamera. Und hiermit mache ich die Fotos. Und ich schau mal, die Kamera ist noch neu für mich. Ich muss einmal eben hier checken mit der Bam 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 Bam. Ja, schön so. Einmal Lupti. Bam, 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 bam. Ja, sieht gut aus. Ja, sehr schön. Und schaut einmal zu mir. Sonst willst du auch die Brille abnehmen einmal? Dann nee? Dann habt ihr alle einmal. Ja, schön, so einmal so. Wo ist der Vogel? Ja, schön. Und schaut noch mal alle einmal so, einmal in die Ferne. Stellt euch vor, da kommt gerade euer Traummann auf euch zu. Ja, schön. Und ich mach mal einmal einzeln.
Mit dir zusammen?
Oder ich mach einmal einzeln von dir, einmal so. Ja, schau, auch einmal so. Ja, schön. Und auch einmal von dir. Ja, schön. Und komm noch ein Tick in den Schatten. Ja, schön. Und vielleicht einmal auch in der Sonne, sonst kommt einmal hier einfach rüber.
Okay, dann rein.
Und einmal hier Luki. Ja, schön so. Komm mal ein bisschen von hier. Komm noch mal ein bisschen näher. Und schaut auch noch mal ein bisschen so zur Baustelle rüber.
Schön.
Ja, schön so. Ja, super. Und ihr seid jetzt noch am Erinnerungsbilder. Und ich halte die Kamera einfach so. Hiermit filme ich das und hiermit mache ich die Bilder. Ja, schaut gut aus so. Einmal so. Ja, schön. Einmal so. Und schaut noch mal einfach so ein bisschen in die Ferne, ein bisschen abseits. Und stellt euch vor, da kommen gerade eure Traummänner vorbei. Ja, schön so. Und ich mache auch einmal ein Bild einmal von dir alleine. Ja, schön. Und auch einmal so. Schön. Und schaut auch noch mal einfach so auf das Wasser rüber. Ja, sehr schön. So. Und wollt ihr euch einmal in den Arm nehmen? Ja, schön. Und ich mache mal eins von jedem einzeln. Einmal so. Und auch einmal so. Und schaut noch mal zueinander. Ja, schön. Ja. Ja, ich denke, es ist schon geil und so ein Video. Und ich erzähle im Grunde, was mir gefallen hat und was nicht. Hallo. Ich mache mal einfach so. Ich schaue ruhig mal zu deiner Freundin rüber. Ja, schön. Und setz dich ruhig noch einmal hin. Das ist auch ganz schön so ein bisschen von oben. Und schaut auch noch mal zueinander. So. Und vielleicht sogar einmal. Setz dich noch einmal auf die. Oder bleib ruhig so sitzen und schau so ein bisschen in die Ferne. So einmal eben hier. Zack. Ja, ist schon so. Einmal so. Ich fotografiere einmal auch von hier. So, einmal von hier. Schau noch ein bisschen zu mir. Ich mache mal einmal hier schwuppdiwupp. Ja, sieht schön aus. Ich halte das mal einfach so. Mal eben hier das noch einmal auf. Zack. Einmal so. Ja, sehr schön so. Ich komme noch mal einen Schritt näher. Wo ist der Vogel? Ja, sehr schön. Und ruhig noch mal einmal euch zu zweit. Ja, schön. Ja, ihr könnt euch auch umarmen. Ja, schön so. Und sonst euch auch noch mal zu zweit. Ja, schön so. Ich gehe noch mal einen Schritt zurück. Und ich komme noch mal einen Schritt näher, einmal so. Und vielleicht noch von jedem einmal einzeln. Ich fange mal mit dir an, einmal einfach so. Noch einmal von weiter weg. Ja, schön. Und ich zeige euch gleich die Bilder auch einmal. Auch einmal von dir. Einmal so. Ich komme noch mal etwas näher, einfach so. Ja, schon so. Und ja. Und schau noch mal zu deiner Freundin rüber. So. Und nochmal zu mir. Ja, schön. Und auch nochmal von dir und dann zeige ich euch gleich einmal die Fotos. Einmal so. Ja, schön. Ich komme auch nochmal vom Nahen. Einmal so. Ja, schön. Ja, perfekt. So now we went from the new city, from the new harbor part of the town, to the old town. So this is now the center of Hamburg. And what I now want to do is I want to photograph cars. I am going to photograph more people on the streets, but for now I just want to photograph cars. There are beautiful cars in Hamburg normally everywhere. All kinds of nice cars. And so let's take a look what we can find here. So I think we got some really nice photos of buildings. I think we got some really nice photos of people on the streets. And now what's missing is some more images of beautiful cars. Hamburg offers a lot of them here, so this is what I focus on now. And then I'm going to photograph some more people on the streets, just right here. You don't have to wear a mask here on the streets, which I just came from Spain and everybody had a mask on everywhere, even on the beach. And so let's see. I'm very careful talking to people. I have a lot of respect for the coronavirus situation. And so I only talk to those people where I feel that they will say yes, and I will only act out of distance. So let's see what we can find. So we're now in the biggest shopping street here in Hamburg, where you have all the expensive brands like Gucci and Prada, and here are always some nice cars parked. So now we're going to take some pictures of these cars. Bop, 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 bop. Bop. So I now walk around the city of Hamburg. I shoot everything manually here, so every time I shoot into the sun or into the shade I have to change the settings, and I haven't really perfected the settings, so I know I could do it much better, but it works really well. I haven't spent much time figuring out the camera buttons. I try to be as simple and fast as I can, so I focus on the shooting experience, and I change the knobs while I'm taking pictures. So I shoot now into the sun in the background, building in the background, which is bright, and when I shoot the bike here I have to actually turn the knobs here to change the shutter speed. And whether I'm on the shade or in the sun, I change everything manually, the same as the video camera. So, but it works pretty well. I think it's a really nice camera, easy to handle. And I tried a couple of picture styles now. I'm now shooting in sepia, but I try to change or try to shoot all kinds of picture styles. So in the end, we will take a look at the RAW files and the JPEG files. So let's go on. I've seen something. Look here. It's red. It's red and topless. Let's take a look. I think it's really nice. Nice place where it's parked. So let's take a closer look. Yeah, really nice. Okay, I think we already got some nice pictures just within 5 minutes out of the underground and up into the city, and we already got some nice cars here. There's one hotel, the Four Seasons, which always has some nice cars in front of it. We will take a look at it as well. And when I think we got some nice cars photographed, then I photograph a couple more people here, get a glimpse of fashion shots, and then we're done, and then we bring back the camera. Now it's 3 o'clock, so we picked up the camera 4 hours ago. I shot non-stop with it, and I think we got some really nice shots this day. Oh, du bist schnell überall, ne?
Ja.
Shuttle bist du schnell in der Stadt,
Ja.
kannst an die Weser, Stadion, Bürgerpark. Ich filme das einfach hiermit und hiermit mache ich die Bilder.
Okay.
Willst du die Tasche sonst abstellen oder willst du mit der Tasche? Und ich schaue einmal, bam, schwuppdiwupp. Und willst du sonst die Jacke damit auflegen? Dann habt ihr... Ich schaue einmal. Und kommt noch ein Tick hier rüber? Ja, ist schon so. Man hört die Kamera im Grunde nicht. Ich bin im Grunde schon am Fotografieren. Und ihr könnt auch sonst die Hände einfach so in die Hüfte packen. Ja, schön. Ja, das ist ja cool, dass ihr Schwestern seid. Dann macht ihr heute einen Tag in Hamburg.
Ja, genau.
Ja, schön. Und gebt euch einmal eine Umarmung. Einfach so. Ja, schön. Sehr schön. Und ich komme einmal auf. Dreht euch noch einmal zu mir. Einmal von dieser Seite. Mal schauen, wie sieht mein Auto. Und nehmt euch nochmal in den Arm. Ja, ist schon so. Dann habt ihr ein paar Bilder, wo ihr beide so... Und gebt einander mal... Gib du mal deiner Schwester einen Kuss auf die Wange. Ja, ist schön. Und einmal andersrum auch. Ja, sehr, sehr schön. Und vielleicht einmal ein Bild, wie ihr einfach von dort hierher lauft.
Okay.
Und ihr könnt ruhig langsam laufen. Und schaut ruhig zueinander. Ja, schön so. Ja, sehr schön. Und geht noch weiter und dann noch einmal von der anderen Seite. Ja, und jetzt wieder zurück. Ja, schön so. Und ich mache nochmal von jedem einmal ein Bild, einfach so wie du gerade bist, einmal so.
Nee.
Einmal so. Und komm noch einen Tick weiter hier
Ja,
in den
aber
Ja,
weiter
finde ich schon.
Größer, ne?
Ja, ist schon so. Ja, guti. Habt ihr noch eine Sonnenbrille? Einmal schwuppdiwupp. Ich schau mal. Ja, ist schön so. Das ist hier in der Sonne ist ein ganz anderer Look als im Schatten. Ja, ist schön so. Und kommt auch noch mal so ein bisschen zu mir. Ja, ist schön so. Und geh noch mal hier zu den Taschen. Ich mache noch mal von jedem ein Bild noch mal in der Sonne. Bauch fest. Und du umarmst sie einfach. Ja, genau. Sehr schön. Und kannst du ihr einen Kuss auf die Wange geben? Ja, klar. Ja, sehr schön so. Ich komme noch mal einen Tick von hier vorne. Ja, ihr könnt ruhig so weiter knuddeln. Und wenn du willst, du kannst auch die rechte Hand nehmen und ihn einfach so ein bisschen hier am Hals. Ja, genau, ja, schön. So, ja, sehr schön. Und vielleicht einmal noch, kommt einmal hierher. So here we are now, it's 4:30 in the evening, so it's now 5 hours since we picked up the Fuji X100V. And now what's my opinion about it? I've had a great time with it, shooting it here in Hamburg. I've got beautiful weather now, but I don't care about the weather. I like it when it's working with me, but if it's not working with me, I make it working with me. We got some really nice shots, I think, of the beautiful buildings here in the city center, and also in the Elbphilharmonie, the new building where all the new buildings are built near the harbor. In the Hafen City. We took some nice portraits of people on the streets. I do this, let me say it in one sentence, success means giving joy to others by doing what you love. This is what I did today. All the images I took of people, I give them to the people for free because that's what I love to do. Make this video to help some other people who may want to see how do portraits get out of the X100V, how do landscape or architecture shots come out of the X100V. And this video is about showing you the images. It's not about giving you all the technical stuff, 26 megapixel, 11 frames per second. I don't want to give you the numbers, I want to give you the emotion, I want to give you the experience. That's why I made this video today. And now, just from my experience, I think the picture profiles all went really well. I've had a great time with all of them. And I used kind of all of the picture profiles today. I used 45 minutes, the one picture profile, then the next one, then the next one. And it was really nice using the screen just to walk around and click. Autofocus was well, there's no sound, so I'm now taking pictures. And there's kind of no sound, and it's the mechanical shutter, not the electronical one. The mechanical shutter goes to 1/4000th of a second, which kind of worked all the time. Now you have the base ISO of 160, which is kind of high compared to other cameras that can go up to or low to ISO 50. This is 160, so sometimes I had to go from f2 to f2.8. I shot nearly everything at f2, nearly all the portraits, of course, at f2 to see how good does it work, how good does the autofocus work, how good is the sharpness, the AF, how good is the lens. I wanted to see how good is it at open aperture, not at f8 or f5.6. So one thing that I've noticed, when I take pictures, I always take many images. So I shoot click, click, click. Now the camera shoots up to 11 frames per second with the mechanical shutter, and even more with the electronical shutter, I think 20 frames per second. And 11 frames per second is way too much for me. So in the camera you can decide how many frames per second you want, and I chose 5, I think, or 6 frames per second. And what I found was, when I was photographing the people on the streets and I took some images pretty quickly, the buffer went full and I could only take 1 image per second, kind of. I could photograph 1 minute or half a minute pretty quickly, click, 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 with 5-6 frames per second. But after that, after half a minute, the camera slowed down drastically, which I'm not used to from my other camera. I'm not used to slowing the camera down that quickly. And then being only able to shoot at 1 frame per second or a little bit more. But it was in the way of photographing, the way I photograph. Now I take many images, the camera, I just got it today, so I took more images maybe than usual just to be sure I get the shot, focus is right. But this is something that I encountered with every photo shoot. Every photo shoot I did today was very quick. Every photo shoot was 2 minutes. And in these 2 minutes I encountered this problem. So this is a minus point. Now in general, it is a really nice camera. It's nice hanging here. I had it here around my shoulders all the time, around my neck. You can pick it up here and the viewfinder goes on immediately. There's no lag. There's just a small lag, but it's totally fine. I think it's not standing in the way. But just walking around with the screen on the back is also pretty fine. And looking through, and the original viewfinder is also a great user experience. Any of these 3 options will give you a different user experience, and any of these 3 options work pretty well to take pictures. So we've seen the architecture photography, we've seen the portrait photography. I didn't shoot video, I just shot a small piece at 4K, and I can show you it here, but it's nothing special. So let's now go into Lightroom and take a look at the JPEG images and to the raw images, how they edit.
Yeah, I don't ask for nothing but the sunshine. The race is going one day to blind my eyes, and birds fly around like you can move from wind, fly until they find the place where you have been. Ask for the direction and it's back in time. The workaholics say to say you die, but knowing you'd come back, children await you. She open them doors and make them faithful. Nightmares vanish, dreams come true. It's what they say every time they're seeking you. Time starts to tick, air starts to breathe. I wonder what means the day to me. I never thought about waking up in dreams. Never thought about being me. I never thought about just breaking it up. I'm breaking it stuff, I'm breaking it up. Another day. to work. Like them beggars, don't take your hands. Remaining in dirt and you melt them snow. Let them trees grow tall and the seasons go by while you won't leave at all. You're the hope and the strength they'll let her wake up to reach and one life to spend. To count our days, you count our time till then. It's you from the tummy we are born in until the day we end. Can't be bought, can't be taken. Give us light that guide us through our happy ending. And each second we're living and each breath we are breathing is cause of you. But they cause you're not leaving. And if you come back just some hours later, the first thing I see in the morning when I wake up. For sure, if it's me that is breathing, that is leaving stat core. I'm looking for a solution. Life's an illusion. I need to feel it there. You can push it.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and take me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and take me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
You and me,
Like the king and the queen, living more than just life and above the dream.
you and me,
Build up the love for lifetime, we're above the skyline, angels fly beside us.
you and me,
Went from boy and girl to wife and husband, finally life became fantastic.
you and me.
The lovers couples can meth with, take love like addicts. Without you I panic, without you I couldn't handle this stuff in my heart. Cause I had to separate those who fuck and who love. Cause most smiles ain't real, last words get lost. And you have found the love I want and it's worth all costs.
You and me,
Like the king and queen, living more than just life and above the dream.
you and me,
Like the prince and the princess, and we love each other even though we've been dressed.
you and me,
Like the husband and the wife, making life so precious without money, but a child.
you and me.
The lovers couples can meth with, take love like addicts. Without you I'll panic.
The king for my kingdom, the prince for my bed. This is what I found in you. The father for my child, the boy in my past is you.
Alright, now close my eyes and remember you. When you're gone I have to depend on you. So when you leave I'm left with just some of your pictures. But I can't talk to them, either squeeze them like I did. Yeah, I'm the baby, you're my mother beside me. Protect me at night, even in my dreams you guide me. Life was nothing until you gave sense to it. And as long as we're together there's no end to it. Now I love you. From the bottom of my heart I say I love you. From the bottom of my,
You and me,
like the king and the queen, living more than just life and above the dream.
you and me,
Like the prince and the princess, and we love each other even though we've been
you
dressed.
and me,
Like the husband and the wife, making life so precious without money, but a child.
you and me.
Like the boy and the girl live and enjoy their new world, and nothing else first but you.
I love you, I love you, I love you, love you, I love you, I love you. The king for my kingdom, the prince for my bed. This is what I found in you. The father for my child, the boy in my past is you.
When we got ourselves here, the world don't matter. Doing work and leisure without a goal, there's no pleasure.
I love you from the bottom of my
Go from life till death, until the time will rest. I'll be forever hanging at your chest.
I love you from the bottom of my heart. You and me,
Like the king and the queen, living more than just life and above the dream.
you and me,
Like the prince and the princess, and we love each other even though we've been
you
dressed.
and me,
Like the husband and the wife, making life so precious without money but a child.
you and me.
Like the boy and the girl, live and enjoy their new world, and nothing else first but
I
you.
love you.